This is 40K Fanatics.
Well, you didn't even let enough music play. We're going to have to start over. We're going to have to edit this out.
I didn't know we were going.
Well, we're also not editing anything out. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a great show planned for you today. It was going to be a three-way. Threesome?
Oh, yeah.
Gangbang. What? This is 40K Fanatics. I'm Shane. This is Austin across the way from me. We're in Casey's new painting shed where he's got all his stuff all in the way of the podcast setup, as I expected him to do. And what we were going to do is we were going to give you our thoughts and opinions on miniature game 40K conventions, because just like last year, the NEA Gamfest happened this last week, and Casey took part in the 40K GT. He played some 36 hours straight of 40K, which was more than I wanted. I had to play some piano. Austin, you were there running RPGs, playing all kinds of stuff. And so what we were going to do is have a panel discussion about what we like to see in a convention, what we like to see in a 40K tournament, and our sort of opinions. The boys are going to give us some examples of things that they experienced at the Game Fest, and I was going to play moderator, and then the Nurgle jumped up, snatched Casey out the air.
Hate to hear it.
He is in his house. We've not seen him. He's quarantined. He's locked down. He's suffering. I woke up and he had sent me a message today, and it said, "I'm hot-blooded." And of course I responded, "Check it and see, ? He subsequently would reveal that he in fact has a fever of 103. He doesn't do anything more than dance, and he's not here. So next week, he will have some response and some comments on the 40K GT that he took part in. But this week, me and Austin have got together at Casey's house without him to talk about Game Fest and conventions at large. Things we like to see, things that we have seen, ways that they could be better, and, call it a shopping list if you yourself are thinking of possibly traveling to a convention. They're big ones that do everything under the sun. There are some that are more, you're trying to sell stuff. There's playing conventions, there's selling conventions, there's big reveal type conventions. There are things that are just tournament-based get-togethers. I mean, there are some like big things, Adepticon, that have all of it all at once, but that's pretty rare. But if you're thinking, I want to go to one, let me look around my area. Perhaps we give you a little buyer's guide on what you can be looking for, what you can be thinking about. Just make sure you have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But first, Austin, we must open the bits box and talk about what we've done in the hobby the last week. So if you would do some sound effects. There we go. Yeah. What'd you do in the hobby this week?
I was getting ready for the Old World tournament we had at Game Fest.
The Old World tournament. Now, it was one of the many things that got just swallowed whole, Jonah and the Whale style, Geppetto and Pinocchio, by the 40K GT.
Yeah.
But you did get some games in?
I got 2 games in because I got the second buy.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. Like waiting over a month trying to get a game, and then hoping I get at least 3 games in for Game Fest. And I end up only getting 2 games.
That's unfortunate. Did you win?
No. I lost every single match.
Oh, no. What happened?
I played goblins. I wasn't expecting to go in and win. I was kind of just want to play a fun list and see if the dice rolls happen to go in my favor. But for the most part, it was kind of just a wacky fun. Most fun I enjoyed was seeing my opponent's face when a bunch of just insane things happen on the table.
A lot of randomness in the goblin.
Lots of randomness, hoping things are turning in my favor.
What were the other armies? Did you see any old metal stuff that anyone had gotten out of their closet? I imagine that, there still is no high elves for me to buy.
There was a high elf player, but he was rocking mostly plastic. There was definitely Bretonnians. There were 2 ogre lists, ogre kingdoms. There were Me playing orcs and goblins, solely goblins, and we had high elves, like I mentioned. The winning list was wood elves.
With a bunch of archers.
Yes, the
cheesiest thing.
Yeah, nothing but like archers in a big line that force you to come at them while they shoot your whole army to death. I was prepared to concede if I ever got matched with that army.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
You know, I hate how... So 40K's recently fixed this. If you guys don't know, part of the balanced data slate recently was indirect fire had been a thing that was kind of silly. Because you could park some stuff in the corner of the map that had indirect fire. You could buff them this way and that way. And you could hit things that could not be hidden in any way from anywhere on twos, re-rolling stuff, and just blow a unit away every turn to your heart's content. And they changed that so that now, no matter what you do, indirect hits on 4s, which is good.
Yeah.
And I think that it's good that there are efforts being made, it seems, to take to lessen the effectiveness of any any attribute that takes away like whole chunks of the process, like the core gaming process of select your target, measure range, try to hit, try to wound, try to make a save. They're slowly but surely like pruning those back where they can't be leveraged to the point of silliness. And I hope Old World does the same, because those non-ranked units where
they're actually ranked. They're just in single lines.
Oh, I thought they could all move sort of individually.
I thought they were, but I noticed right before the tournament that they lacked this skirmish rule.
Okay, so they have worked on it a little bit already.
Oh, at least it was like had done it before the rules published. But
I see. Well, that's good.
It was just a cheesy list.
Right. But 40K at least, and it's all Games Workshop, seems to be working on their cheese. And I always appreciate that. Next, I want them to fix Torrent and Blast. I want them to be way less heavy duty.
Just bring back templates.
Yeah, templates would be nice. I have other ideas, but that is probably a whole top 3 rules that I would like to change list, where I would flesh them out wholly. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. My Bits box, I also did gaming for my Bits box this week. I'm still working on my Khorne Lord of Skulls. Last night I painted all the trim and put the grime on the remaining 3 big blood tanks that go on the back of him. So tonight, my plan is to place them all where they're going to go and draw the water line in the tank, because they sit at an angle. So each window is going to have a slightly different view of the boiling blood within. And so I've got to paint 16 little blood tank freehands is what I have on the docket. I have to sneeze so bad. Is Nurgle coming to get me too?
Oh boy.
Oh no. But I played Tyranids for the first time recently. Somehow in 2 years of playing 40K, 9th and then 10th edition, two different card packs now. Finally got to play Tyranids for the first time for round 6, the final round of the league. I managed to win. I'm 3-3 in the league. The Tyranids were neat. I have no idea what any of them are. You should have seen me asking questions, trying to target things.
Bug 1, bug 2.
I mean,
bug
just walking over and being like,
big bug.
This guy here. I want to target this one. Because if I'm like the little guy, there's 7 different little guys. The big dude, there's 4 of them. The guy with the cannon face, that one was pretty straightforward. But managed to win that game, 3-3 for the league. I think that's going to be better than quite a few, because not everybody got all 6 games in.
That's how it usually goes.
And that is crazy to me. Maybe part of this might be just my privilege of not having any kind of real job, but man, I don't see how, with the scarcity of games of 40K that everybody seems to have, how you don't get all your league matches in. But I got them all in, and then I played the homie Dylan yesterday, and I had no idea who he was. So we have a local Discord, and for some reason nobody uses their name in the Discord.
I hate that.
Yeah. So you rock up to play a game, and you're like, "Hey, I need to find Nut Tugger 62," and 4 people put their hands up, and I'm like, the online name, and then 3 people with their hands down. I have a problem with that. I think that since the whole thing is ostensibly to meet in person, we should probably put some names on, but we don't.
I've been telling them, like, do a little like parentheses next to the usernames with like at least your first name.
Something.
First name, last initial.
Something's got to happen, because it was silly trying to figure out who's who, and it often is. But he played Tyranids. I had no idea, so I got to play Tyranids the second time, and it went well for your boy. But we had a lot of fun. It was a quick game. You know what? I find that it is... All right. There's a chunk of the 40K community and miniature gaming community that think that we're all a bunch of toxic, sweaty tryhards.
Mm-hmm.
However, I've had that happen like twice. And I could look at my Tabletop Battles app. I think I have 65 games of 40K in a pretty relatively short amount of time. I mean, I'm averaging a game a week, and sometimes I'll play 2 or 3 games a week, and I'm not even going and playing very many events. And so it was another lovely game. Of course, all my guys are painted. They looked great. Can't wait to get the Lord of Skulls on the table.
He's going to be big.
He's going to be chonky. He's going to be chopping stuff up. It's going to be hurling skulls. A little bit of hobby action that I've made a discovery about. I did do a test part. The listeners will know that the Cornlord of Skulls has got a few armor panels that are skulls. And my intent is to make them look like they're set in a pool of blood.
Okay.
And so I tried painting the skulls white, put a red wash on, and then then waited on that to dry. All the skulls turned pink.
Mm-hmm.
It did not look quite as heavy metal as I wanted. So I took the old reliable Blood for the Blood God and put that over the now pink skulls, and now they look like they are encased in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got to decide, do I paint all of these individual skulls white? Sort of highlight the top edges. And I think I might, because I'm a glutton. I'm a glutton for punishment. And also, I mean, I'm taking my time with this thing. He's going to look so good. But that is my bits box. Do you have anything else, sir?
I don't believe so.
Shut that thing.
Oh.
Our main topic today, we're going to talk about miniature gaming conventions, hobby conventions, 40K convention type things. I've got a little top 3 list with 1 OLI is the way that I've set this up, because I didn't intend to have such an active part in the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a list, or how are you doing?
I've got a little mental list I've been working on.
Okay, so it's not. So your list is how many items?
I have 3.
Okay, so we do have dueling top 3 lists.
I don't know if mine's in any particular order though.
Mine's not in any order either. But you know what? Who cares?
I'll let you go first if you want.
I'm going to do my outside looking in.
Okay.
All right. Outside looking in, it's not quite it doesn't quite make the list, but it doesn't mean that it's number 4. That's not what it means. If you expanded it to a top 5, you don't necessarily get the OLI in the top 5, all right? There's a lot of confusion from Casey's chair on what constitutes an OLI and its position in a numbered list. But my OLI that almost makes a top 3 list of things I'm looking for in any sort of convention is booze.
There was a lot of that at Gamefest.
See, and I feel that is such a strong contender, because whether you're walking around a vendor area, man, if there's a painting competition, you're looking at things that are like, if let's say it's a Golden Demon event,
mm-hmm.
What better than to be, half turned looking at stuff that you cannot possibly begin to do yourself.
Yeah.
Just the oohs and the ahs with a little, with the little juicy poo
mm-hmm.
in hand. Booze is my OLI. And did you partake at the Game Fest?
Oh, I didn't this year. I planned to, but never did come up to doing it.
Unfortunately,
But we had I know there were people doing Jello shots at the 40K tournament.
you'd have to. You would have to, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's 8:00 at night, 2.5 hours into game 3. Your feet hurt. Those are low tables too, right? Lower back's got to be talking to you by that point.
May even want to try to relieve some of the stress of coming in the lower places of the tournament.
Yeah, you've already lost. Yeah, you thought
you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you had a whole plan for going, X and O, and now you're O and.
It's only bottom of the bracket from here.
Yeah, you're O for trying to just not finish day 1. O for 3. That has to be a bad feeling. I'm not a good. In very many instances of life, I am not a good example of a normal person in the way that I do any of this stuff. But I don't ever go into a 40K event thinking I'm going to win a single game.
Yeah.
If I score a single point in a match, I think, all right, this is going fine. Mm-hmm. Because there's such a gulf between what I am trying to get out of it and what others may be trying to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And but man, some of those others are really intending on winning every game.
Yeah.
And that seems hard. Go ahead and give me your number 3.
Number 3 I've got.
Try to put them in order if you can.
Okay. I've got Good Vendors for my number 3.
Yeah, Good Vendors is neat. So at Gamefest is a small convention, which this year was bigger than it's ever been, and it's growing every year. But it is not your giant, let's call them national, fly to it type of events. Not yet. Maybe someday. But last year I bought some stuff, man. There was cool stuff. I love the idea of, especially if you could drive to it, if GW's there and they've got, they've just emptied the warehouse and it's there, where you could feasibly buy an entire army right that day.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in the back of your car, cruise it home, be building that stuff on Monday. The other thing I like about Angry Joe Show, one of my favorite content creators, Angry Joe Show on YouTube, he went to Adepticon and he walked all around the vendor hall and talked to the guy that did the Gunfighter's Ball.
Oh, yeah, Knuckle Duster.
Yeah, and you could buy all that stuff right there. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot. What sort of vendors and things did we have at Gamefest?
This year, I'll try to rattle off what I remember off my head. We had there's a crochet vendor selling crocheted art stuff. They had
That's cute,
like little Super Marios and bunnies and little fiddly yarn stuff.
My wife would have loved that.
Oh yeah, they had I forgot the guy's name to plug in, but this Godzilla artist. He does a bunch of Godzilla art and kaiju art.
I watched Godzilla -1 recently.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
I haven't gotten that.
It's excellent.
They had that. They had a couple other ones doing kind of embroidery and kind of clothing and accessory items. One person was selling like wizard hats, but I'll be honest, this year I didn't really see anyone that I really saw with items that caught my interest.
Yeah, but I like the idea. Vendors is a good one. My number 3 things that I'm looking for at a convention is random games. So, what I mean by random games is, Gamefest is really good at this. They've got a whole wall of games that you can just grab and try.
Yeah, the board game.
Tons of board games. There's card games in there. There's everything from snakes and ladders to whatever what's the Dune game? Big chunky resource management.
Yeah, I think it's just Dune.
Yeah, complicated stuff. Heavy games.
They even have like out of print games over there to play.
Yeah, stuff you can't even get anymore. And I really enjoy because, again, me being a bad example of the general populace, I love playing with strangers just stone cold, never seen you before, and we're both about to learn this complicated thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work together. We're going to figure it out. We're going to discover if we're two people that ever need to have a conversation again in life, right? It's all going down right now.
Yeah.
I love that part of a convention, and I imagine that for the majority, that's probably one of the most stress-inducing ideas of even going to one.
Oh, I don't imagine a lot of the like socially anxious gamers out there are going to want to like sit down with a complete stranger and try to figure out a game.
Are you saying they don't share that as their number 3 favorite thing that they could have at a convention?
I think demographic wise, it's probably not going to be up there.
No, I guess not. What do you think of that?
I think it's interesting. Are you talking about the sit down, just random people?
Yeah, just random people sit down games. Just
I find that interesting.
Let's grab it and go.
I don't know about like just grabbing board games, but like signing up for events and meeting random people at the events. That's interesting. I met one guy there who we ended up kind of happened to team up together for a lot of events. Just happened to sign up for the same events and kind of became convention buddies.
I like that. Yeah, my 2 cents on that sort of stuff is, I mean, I could do a podcast on like my ideas about how to deal with your social anxiety, but they would largely come down to stop it. Just stop it. Stop it and do something.
Just stop thinking.
Just take all that and put it in a box and then go do the thing like it's your mission decreed by God, right? Yeah. Because what is likely to happen is you end up having a pretty good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of the roller coaster thing. He's like, just get on it, try to have fun. It'll be over before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
This whole entire thing will be over before you know it. Anyway, that's my number 3.
That kind of goes into one of my top.
Yeah, your number 2?
I'd say mine's kind of a blend of that. The thing I was going for, it's not quite something that you can go into a convention looking for, but it's definitely something to try to take out of a convention, is good people. Trying to make connections and experience what it's like to play games with other humans.
Yeah. The NEA Gamefest, we're bouncing off of it a little bit to give you a review if you're local of how that went and what we thought of it. But also, we know we've got even an international audience that listens to us. We keep bouncing back and forth, but these are going to be things that you experience everywhere you go.
Yeah, this can be extrapolated out.
Yeah, and the NEA Gamefest is interesting because on one hand, it's a very open kind of catch-all convention with Dungeons and Dragons and various role-playing, board games, ad nauseum, and then a super sweaty try-hard 40K GT. And so over on the RPG side, the board game side, it's probably a lot of people that are really there to just enjoy whatever may come.
Yeah. And,
the 40K folks, which I understand we're a 40K podcast, we're going to get, you're who we're talking to. And also we were talking about, you if you were there just for the GT, I could see maybe you didn't have the greatest time. Maybe it was very, very stressful because of the nature of the thing. But I think when you go to those sorts of things, you decide, who am I going to be in for what?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I feel like I hijacked your number 2.
Well, if we take a second back to my number 2, just go in there and kind of getting to know your fellow players there. Try not to be too standoff and just have fun.
Yeah, you just got to get in there and mix it up.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
You never know who you might meet, what connections you could have.
That's right. You could have a new RPG buddy from now on.
Yeah.
My number 2, Crazy Games. Now this one I want to hear your recount of. So when I say crazy games, what I'm talking about are games that do not get a lot of shine online or anywhere. But when you show up to a convention, you get your Gunfighter's Ball, you get your just whatever. Guys playing Malifaux. When was the last time you saw anybody play that? You get all of that. I think they were playing Star Wars Shatterpoint at the Game Fest. And you got to play a couple of really special games. Shout out to Charlie.
Oh yeah.
What did you do?
So Charlie brought turns out to be a homebrew sort of Star Trek ship battle game. I believe it's called Star Trek Max. It was on the sheet of paper, and it's literally like ship battles from Star Trek. You have to manage your shields, your power. You can like juice your frontal shields if you think you're about to get attacked, like lessen damage. You have to manage your little systems and everything. Then you got it's like naval battles in space. There's a 3D element to the game. You can go up and down, but
yeah, I mean,
it was fantastic.
The homie Charlie has got like the scale model kits of Star Trek vehicles, and then they're on tall sticks, and so you can move them up and down. It looked unbelievable.
Yeah, I was rocking a Constitution class, the Bismarck, and we were going up against Klingons. We actually fought the Romulans at one point. Romulan bird of prey. I had a plasma torpedo launched at me, and I had to figure out how to get rid of it while it was heading towards me.
That's so good. Where? I mean, you can't buy that.
No,
that's something that the homie Charlie made up.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
He and some other gamers came up with it.
He had another one. He's got Tank Ace.
I actually missed that one, but I've played it so many times. It's whatever.
Tank Ace is another Charlie homebrew.
Yeah, World War II tank battles on a hex grid using 15 millimeter scale tanks. Played with a D8. It's a whole lot of fun.
Super fun. He's got little smoke markers for how fast you're going, which I think is borrowed from one of those naval warfare games. They do that to show how fast you're going. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that's the stuff you can only get at a convention. Just because unless you've got a lot of friends, you can't even find enough people to make that go. But at the convention, you put Star Trek Max on the sign-up sheet.
Yeah.
And I bet you get a table full.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. Maybe we'll have Charlie on sometime and talk about what he's even doing when he's designing these things. Charlie's one of our local old timers, and he is excellent. He likes to play Saga, which is great. And he's got what is it? What does he name his elephant for his
Tantor?
Tantor. Yes, it's great. That's my number 2.
Okay.
What are we to? Your number 2?
My number 2 was Good People.
Oh, we're to my number 1.
I was gonna say you're kind of eating into my number 1 with some of these topics.
Am I?
Oh yeah.
Well, sometimes it be like
we can always expand on it.
We absolutely can. We've got to fill 20 more minutes nearly, and I don't know how.
We'll figure it out. All
right. Now this one is my number 1. I think is important because I think that in a convention there are some giant players, and I mean by game. Dungeons and Dragons, 40K.
Yeah,
those are the two. Magic, if there's cards involved. Okay, if you have Magic, 40K, Dungeons and Dragons, you might as well leave all your little board games, all your vendors, all your other stuff at home.
Mm-hmm.
Because those have so much gravity. My number 1 thing that I like to see at a convention is to have stuff cordoned off.
Okay.
I think that these things work best when there is like a a vendor area.
Mm-hmm.
There is a painting area. There is a sweaty tournament area, and then that probably needs to be busted out for each different type of big tournament.
Mm-hmm.
The role playing needs to be in some sort of way where it's not just a cacophony of people trying to sort out their fantasy.
Yeah.
And things need to be cordoned off, I think, is my number 1, because the selection bias of player type for somebody that showed up to maybe play an RPG, play some 10K, grab a board game off the wall is such a different type of mentality to the weekend than the people that are playing a 40K GT. They don't need no looky-loos. They don't have time to tell you about the game. They've got a chess clock and a bag of dice and not a long time to get this whole thing done. So, you know.
Yeah, Gamefest, everything for the most part was in one big open room.
Yeah, you reported it was loud.
It was kind of just, you could definitely hear the 40K tournament going on. One person just screaming WOG at the top of their lungs while we're trying to play Star Trek.
Casey.
I don't know if it was Casey.
I bet it was Casey.
It could have been. But
he played Orcs, and we know he loves to WA.
Yeah, it
Turn one.
It wasn't. I'm not trying to blame the 40K players, but it wasn't so bad being in the main room before the 40K tournament started. But after it started, it was kind of like half the room was like a no-go zone.
Yeah, and see, if the GameFest does a good job of taking the RPG spaces and busting them out into little conference rooms and things, and that works really good because the same thing would happen with the RPG players too, because the Dungeons, and I'm rolling all the RPGs into Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, because
if you have 10 RPGs going on, 7 or 8 are Dungeons and Dragons of some description. So, get in the comments and tell me about how there's other RPGs besides that. I know that, but anyhow, it'd be the same kind of thing where you would just have 8 people trying to tell a story about a bandit camp all at once on top of each other, and it'd become a bit of a thing. And then also, in the same way that the 40K people don't have time to advocate for their particular hobby, the Dungeons and Dragons people don't either, because they're trying to pretend to be a warthog. Yeah, and that's not. Not everybody's super comfy doing that, especially with looky-loos over their shoulders. So those games are great for random people to jump in at sign up, though, and I love them. But it's almost like you need the common area for the board games. Yeah, a little bit of cards here. That's another thing. The cards got to be off by themselves too. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Magic tournament just has to be the Magic tournament. Because they might as well be speaking Chinese to me.
At least when it comes to Gamefest at the hotel, I'm not sure if there's a better way to do it as they're doing it now, given space.
Well, someday, hopefully, they're able to bump that whole thing up and move it to a venue that is, like a proper, like a fairgrounds. Yeah. Where you cut across from one building to the next. Now you're into the tournament area where it's all sweaty and stinky. And then you come back, buy a funnel cake.
That'd be nice.
It would be nice. Funnel cake.
Hosted by 40K Fanatics.
Maybe, yeah, you know what? That's what we should do.
We're not funnel cake fanatics.
Casey should buy a funnel cake truck and set it up at the next Game Fest. That'll be
Fanatics.
Funnel Cake Fanatics. Be good. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is diversity of games.
Oh yeah, I was cutting into you.
Yeah, I was kind of getting stabbed all over.
Yeah, I mean, well, you see, Austin, you're kind of new to this podcasting game, all right? And I listen to so much sports radio that if you tell me make a list, it's gonna be a good list. You gotta work on your list game. But diversity of games, let me hear it. What's your position on this?
Well,
what do you like to see?
So using GameFest as an example, when I signed up to attend GameFest, I was looking to just play a plethora of different games that I might not be playing usually. Because normally it's the Games Workshop catalog that we play locally. But I played so many games. I was doing I hosted Gunfighters Ball. We played that. Played Cowboy Shoot 'Em Up. Then that same night, I played Hero Quest.
Oh, I love Hero Quest.
Yeah, we did some is it Milton Bradley or Hasbro? Or,
Yeah, Hasbro.
yeah, did some Hasbro
Hero Quest name.
Hasbro child-friendly dungeon crawling. Had fun with that. Next day, we were doing some Alien RPG.
Ooh, how was that?
That was a lot of fun. We only managed to do Act 1, but I enjoyed that.
How did it work? I've not heard of this Alien RPG.
So it's Alien.
This is Ridley Scott Alien.
Yeah, I was about to say the Ridley Scott Alien universe. It's an RPG set in that. It's a D6 system, and there's a stress mechanic. So as the game progresses, your character gets more and more stressed, and that you get stress dice that you add to your dice pool that can cause your character to lock up and freeze. And
that's similar to the Call of Cthulhu thing, isn't it? Where you have your sanity.
Little bit.
That's always like in the background causing you.
It's a similar
problems.
idea, but
now is that the same? So you were supposed to run Planet of the Apes RPG.
Yes,
which is brand new
Kickstarter. Just ended during the convention. Actually, they released a quick start guide that has a standalone adventure, quick rules. I was going to try to run that at the convention, but sadly, no one showed up for it.
Oh man,
no one wanted to go ape with me.
Nobody wanted to go ape. I want to go ape with you.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go ape sometime.
We should get Casey involved in going ape. He seems like he would go ape.
But yeah, Alien was fun. Thing I enjoyed about it was as a standalone. Thing I like most about standalone RPGs is being able to come in with a character and not feel connected to them, and I can play my role out. And if I die, I die. I can kind of just step in as like a character in the film.
Yeah, you're just the red shirt.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, I'll lead the way.
I'm looking at the script and like, oh, I'm dead in Act 3. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
But I played that.
I'm gonna act my ass off until I get killed.
Played Star Trek. Did the painting. Not painting contest wasn't a game, but we did the painting contest. Just a lot of activities throughout the weekend to do, and I enjoyed that.
That's wonderful. That's the key, I think. Look, we're a 40K podcast. If you want to go play a 40K GT, we've got a top 5 list on things to best prepare to go do those things. And we'll probably do another. Because next week, Casey did play in the GT, and I imagine he's got some thoughts, and he's probably learned some things. You know what? That may be next week's pod is top 5 things to look for, ways to prepare, etc. for a 40K GT. But speaking more broadly about any gaming convention, I think the key is to go in and really get out of your comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Because you could go and sign up for one Dungeons and Dragons experience after another and do nothing but play Dungeons and Dragons. That's fine if that's what you want to do. That'd probably be cool. But I think that playing some random resource management board game and then bouncing over and being a guy in Alien, and then popping over and saying, you know what? Yeah, I'll LARP out in the yard. That's the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way. I'm all out of stuff.
What's our time at?
38 minutes. We usually go 45, 47.
Yeah.
Was there anything else interesting at GameFest, particularly? Anything you would like to have seen?
I would have liked to see some players at my Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Tell me about the Planet of the Apes, because so it's a D6 system.
Yeah, it's a D6
but it's
system.
also not a super combat-heavy thing.
It's kind of, the combat's more like we're going to do a little bit of combat and try to, it's kind of like pulp combat.
Yeah.
So the way the initiative works is like the person on each side with the highest initiative stat, which changes depending on if you're ready for combat or not, rolls, and then that decides for the whole group, and the whole group acts as one.
I see.
So you kind of like decide what your whole group's doing. But I enjoy it. It seems like it's much more kind of an investigation, exploration game with a bit of like psychological and sociological commentary.
Yeah, and your idea, because we've talked about it a bit, is, again, we're a 40K podcast. which involves miniatures, but you plan to run this like Theater of the Mind.
Oh yeah, I don't always like miniatures and maps or combat maps and RPGs because it kind of boils down to, well, I'm gonna move my guy 30 feet away so I can avoid his ice spells, his icicle magic, and if I stay so many feet away, I can prevent fireballs from reaching me. It comes down to almost its own little miniature game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of feel so. I run a D&D game every Sunday on Roll20, so we have maps and stuff. But I find I'm doing a lot more of like grabbing an image and throwing it up on the screen to represent the area we're in.
Yeah.
And then when we go to fight, it's a much more general battle map lately, and because you can get your RPG to feel a whole lot like a war game.
Yeah.
And most of your RPGs are not great war games.
No.
If you want to play a great war game, play yourself some Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
It works great. It's crunchy as you want. You end up getting a result by the end, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like inescapable, right?
Yeah.
It's you can apply whatever narrative to it you want, but it's really just a little bit of set dressing for these for this math to happen.
Yeah.
Which is fun. The RPG, I find I'd rather have somebody hang from the chandelier that had not been mentioned in the description of the room. Mm-hmm. It is like, is there a chandelier? And of course, as DM, I'm going to say, yeah, there's a chandelier. Okay, I want to shoot the chandelier down. All right, let me just pull from my rectum what I think a chandelier falling on somebody's head does for damage.
Mm-hmm.
You did it. So, I don't think. Do you have any Space Marine information? Do you know? We don't have our lore master. He's sick. He's down with the sickness.
Well, speaking from recent experience and sunburns, I recently got a sunburn for swimming in a pool.
You did?
Space Marines, if they're exposed to too much solar radiation, they just turn highly melanated.
Yeah, you know what? By the way, this is our exclusive Space Marine segment. Yes,
hosted by Funnel Cake Fanatics.
Yes, Funnel Cake Fanatics. I have a little gripe about that particular piece of lore.
Oh yeah,
I do. The only way you get a melanated Space Marine is if he is set too close to the window.
Well, I don't know if that's the only way. I think that they can have varying levels of melanation, but
if I had $1 for every time that Zach Casey has told me that whatever faction takes on the porcelain white skin of their Primarch, I'd have $4 or $5. I just look. The comments got mad at me not too long ago for supporting a little bit of gender diversity in some of the ranks of these folks. But come on, man. So it could be. I'll leave you guys with this. I'll leave you guys with this thought, and I feel this is going to be a good clip for the socials. It could be that the English sensibilities of nerds in the 80s are not all going to age super gracefully.
Do not look up pygmies from Warhammer Fantasy.
Don't do it. We've been 40K Fanatics. Funnel Cake Fanatics, possibly in the future. Stay fanatical.